or something to say that they can see me on here. I hope that you've all had a really good week and that home-based learning is going as well as it possibly can. Isn't it just absolutely fun? Okay, can somebody give me a little heads up to say that I am on here? Anybody, somebody? Oh, there's somebody. Great. Okay. Welcome to my 5 on Friday, where I talk about my 5 favorite books of the week. I've got some really good ones this week, and I'm going through a bit of a stage of, I think because I'm stuck at home so much at the moment, I'm going through a bit of a stage of really looking at the natural world a little bit more closely and trying to bring the natural world into our home environment, because there is not a lot of natural world actually happening, although we are going bushwalking, so that's really nice. Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for saying you can see me. Can you hear me too? Now, the 5 books that I've got today all celebrate the natural world in one way or another. Some of them are looking at young people and how they are helping to save the world, and some of them are just really, really gorgeous stories like this one here, Goodnight Glowworms by Aura Parker. Now, Aura Parker is the author of books such as Cocoon and Twig and Meerkat Splash, and I really, really love her books. They are whimsical and they're lots and lots of fun, and she always gets the text just right, but she's also very clever in that she is the author and the illustrator of her books. And I don't know, there's just this beautiful melding of words and images in all of her books and a real playfulness. I'm originally an early childhood teacher, and I really appreciate when an author, illustrator such as Aura just really nails that really beautiful early childhood content, and this one really does it. It's about 5. Is there 5? I can't count. Yes. I'm a librarian, not a maths teacher. Just remember that, people. It's about 5 glowworms and them going to sleep. It's basically a good night story. And like the next picture book that I'm going to show you as well, there's nothing, I guess, new in this story, in that it's another, let's go to sleep story. But it's just, I love the way picture book artists are able to put their own spin and their own beauty and their own whimsy onto a time-honoured story, such as the story of going to sleep. And a really Goodnight Glowworms really does that beautifully. It's got great end papers. Aura always does a really good job of her end papers. You can see all of the little glowworms in their glowworm tunnel in all their little separate houses. And the final end paper is different, which I always really like as well. I like it when they make a different point of difference in their end papers. So as I said, it's about 5 little glowworms going to sleep. It is a rhyming text. Good night, glowworms, pink and red. Switch off now. It's time for bed. Good night, green, and good night, blue, yellow. It's your bedtime too. And so it goes on. And as you can imagine, some of the glowworms have a little bit of trouble settling for bed. They're meant to be turning off their little twinkly glowworm lights and going to sleep. But, they're not, as happens with small children quite a lot. And tweens, I have discovered. My tween's always been a fabulous sleeper, but she's suddenly not such a fabulous sleeper. But yeah, so the lights are still on. I really like this page. Goodness, glowworms, what's gone wrong? Why are all your lights still on? Giggling, wriggling, watch them glow, blinking, twinkling, glowworms. No. Anyway, it's a gorgeous story about switching off your lights, which I think is a nice analogy maybe for turning off your brains and calming your minds down, getting ready for bed. I like the page with the book. I think that's a particularly nice one. And there's lots of goodnight kisses and all sorts of things. It's just lovely. It's really, really beautiful. Highly recommended for a young audience. You can see the illustrations are just gorgeous. Love it. I also really like the dedication. It's for Dad. You will always be a ray of light to guide me. Thank you for patiently putting me to sleep 1,000,000 times over, even when I insisted on 37 bedtime kisses. Mwah! I think that's a beautiful dedication. Always read the dedications to your children, people. They are beautiful. So absolutely highly recommended for an early childhood audience. As is A Trip to the Beach by Gwyn Perkins. This is outstanding. I didn't think Gwyn Perkins would top his last book, which was the one about going in the bush, Trip to the Bush. I don't know. I really should have Googled that before I got onto Facebook Live, shouldn't I? But am I allowed to say I think this one is even better? This is just exquisite. I actually got really teary in this one. It's a gorgeous story again about Iggy and Grandad, and it's a real celebration of the beach. I think the Australian beach, but also the nature around the Australian beach, and that just beauty of the relationship between a grandchild and a grandparent. It is exquisite. It's just the most beautiful book. The sense of calm and love is evident on every single page. I adore the use of white space. It's a really calm book. It is just beautiful. You're going to catch your first wave today, Iggy. I just know it. I love that confidence that a grandparent can give to a grandchild. It's just grandparents are just such a wonderful thing to celebrate. And, Gwyn Perkins just does that so well. Don't you just love getting out of the city? And along the way, they look at the different things they spy, including a spotty thing that eats grass. And off they come to the beach. And Granddad's going, wait, Iggy! It's just beautiful. And see how, I don't know, like I think it's a very Australian landscape. It's an Australian book. It should be celebrating the Australian landscape. But I love that you can see, that's, I think, my favourite page. That's the one that got me a little bit teary. I'll read that in a tick. But I just want to show you the whole, the natural environment. It's just beautiful. It's just gorgeous. But I love this page here. I'll go back to it. There goes Iggy running down to the water. And then, as happens with very small children, Iggy gets a bit of a fright. And Granddad says, I've got you. Isn't that a beautiful line? I mean, there is something really special about the relationship between grandparents and grandchildren. Love it. I love the fish and chip shop. It's exactly what an Australian fish and chip shop looks like. It's just beautiful. And, of course, we haven't been able to go to the beach lately. And I just loved reading this book. I read it with my children. I've live streamed it to school. I love this wordless page where they're looking in the rock pool. It's just beautiful. Oh, gosh, it's exquisite. It's again, like I said with Goodnight Glowworms, it might seem like, it's been done before, a trip to the beach, a book about a trip to the beach. But, yeah, not like this. It's beautiful. And you can never have too many books celebrating relationships amongst family members and, of course, the beach and, of course, the Australian landscape. So, oh, my gosh, so highly recommended, both of those pictures. Now, another one set, near the beach is Fish Kid and the Mega Manta Ray by Kylie Howarth. Now, this is the second one in this series, and normally I wouldn't necessarily talk about a second book in a series, particularly when I've talked about the first one. And I did talk about Fish Kid. What's the first one called? Ninja something or other. How bad is that? I should really have looked. Again, should have really Googled that beforehand. Fish Kid and the Ninja something or other. Anyway, I would have to say it was Chickpea's favourite book last year. She just loved it. She just loved and loved and loved. And when I first looked at the first one in this series, I wasn't sure it would be her thing. But oh my glory, she just loved it. So the series is about a little boy called Bodhi. And in the first book, he discovers that he has fishy powers, which get turned on in times of extreme need, basically. And in this book, Bodhi goes to visit. His parents are off in the Galapagos Islands again. They are like marine ecologists or biologists or something. And they're off in the Galapagos Islands, and Bodhi is sent to stay with Pop because Pop, another grandparent relationship, because Nan has gone mysteriously missing, and Bodhi's kind of sent with his friend Emily to stay with Pop and kind of cheer Pop up. Anyway, Pop lives in Ningaloo, in Western Australia. I like the map at the start of the book. So Kylie is from, oh my gosh, I'm going to get that wrong. I'm sure she's from Western Australia. Yes, she is. She's from Western Australia. And she's also part fish. That's what it says in her bio, so it must be true. But, yeah, there's a map at the start of the book, and it's set in Western Australia, which is great. I'm from Queensland. I love a book set somewhere else. And Bodhi lives in Perth, but he goes to Pop's house up in Ningaloo Reef and has a bit of an adventure there. And it's a great kind of adventure story for Well, Chickpea's in grade 3. She's 8, turning 9, but I've read this with 6 and 7-year-olds. And actually, Pudster, who is 12, she's actually read them as well and really enjoyed them. I often just leave books like this around the house, and if there's nothing else to do and screen time is over for the day, occasionally they will pick up a book, and I think Pudster picked it up in that instance. So what I really like is there's this nice melding of facts and a story. So there's fish kid facts all the way through the book, octopus, and there's one about manta rays and megalodon sharks. Yeah, there's the manta ray one. So there's some really great facts throughout. Now, again, Carly Howarth is the author and illustrator. The illustrations are absolutely beautiful. I really, really like them. And there's some really fantastic environmental themes and just nice stuff woven throughout, not in a preachy kind of way, but it talks about ghost nets and, just throughout the book, there's just different references to things about conserving the ocean and looking after the ocean, and it's lovely. And at the end of the story, it talks about ships and is it a ship, says Emily. No, it's an oil rig, says Nan. They want to bring in a bunch of pipes and build a factory, which could be a recipe for disaster. There's always something threatening the reef, and it's our job to protect it. This made me wonder what I was supposed to do with my fish powers. I don't know what to do about factories and oil rigs. Not yet, said Nan, but someday you might. Don't worry, fish kid, smirked Pops. You'll find your porpoise. Dad joke, granddad joke. But there's some lovely lines like that throughout where it talks about, you don't have to do everything, but there are some things that you can do to help right now. And it's lovely. Really great story. And there's a third one coming, and I do know the title of that one. It's called Fish Kid and the Turtle Torpedo. Fish Kid and the Lizard Ninja was the first one. That was the first one, and I talked about it on 5 on Friday last year. And now this one has come out, and we've got a turtle one coming. So it's lovely, really celebrating marine life. Another one celebrating saving the planet is Old Enough to Save the Planet. Be inspired by real-life children taking action against climate change. This is I think a UK book. Magic Cat, I think, is a UK publisher. Yes, they are. Beautiful end papers. Oh my glory, look at those end papers. Now, I really, really liked this book. I sat down one night with Chickpea, I think it was Chickpea, and she was absolutely insistent I had to read the whole book, and I was like, no, it's a long one, I'm only going to read a little bit. We read the whole thing. It's really lovely. It's calling all activists. Hi, I'm Anna. I started fighting to protect the environment when I was 12 years old. And since then, I've worked with thousands of children all over the world through my school climate strike organisation. And it introduces all of these children from all different places in the world and how they are helping to make a difference in their part of the world. Really, really fascinating stuff. I'm resourceful enough to reduce traffic pollution. This one's in India. We're smart enough to stop buying single-use plastic. This one is in the UK. I'm powerful enough to preserve the environment. This one's in Indonesia. I'm compassionate enough to protect animals. It's just really, it's lovely, really lovely. Fantastic one for an early childhood audience, but also a middle primary audience. Really good one to give a bit of an overview of what young people can do to help to save the environment. He particularly enjoyed this one about the palm oil alternatives, because you might remember that last year on 5 on Friday, I had a look at a book about orangutans and palm oil, and she's been quite up in arms about the palm oil situation, which is great. That's exactly what you want, and that's what books can do for kids. They can light a spark so that they can feel they can make a change in the world. And certainly for Chickpea, there ain't no palm oil products in this house. And she's written letters to the major supermarkets as well. That was last year's project. If you've got slightly older children, but you're looking for something like that one, Old Enough to Save the Planet, then I'd highly recommend this one, Earth Heroes. This one is absolutely more chapter book style, non-fiction style. And it goes through 20 stories of really cool people who are working to save our world. Greta, good old Greta, is, I think, the first. Yes, Greta Thunberg is the first person looked at. And there's a photograph and a quote from each of the activists. And then there's a really good and very extensive story biography about each of these activists. It's really fantastic, this book. I really enjoyed. There were some people in here I hadn't heard of before. Again, this isn't an Australian production. It's Noisy Crow, which I think is also English. I hadn't heard of a lot of these people. So Rock Rosman was he made conservation cool. He was great. I loved his quote. The biggest enemy of nature is human apathy. Take action. A leap is better than a first cautious step. He was really inspiring. I really liked his story. And then Isabel Soares, who I had heard about before, Saving the Planet One Tomato at a Time. Beautiful people eat ugly fruit. And she was part of that whole campaign to look at the whole, let's just eat fruit and vegetables the way they were made. Apples aren't actually as shiny as you see them in the major supermarkets. If you want something for slightly older children, this is definitely upper primary or lower secondary. This is a really good one. Be really good for school libraries as well as an excellent resource for the nonfiction section. So that is my 5 books for this week. I hope that some of them struck a chord with you. Really enjoyed all of them, and I hope that you all have a good weekend. It's a long weekend here in Australia. I don't know, I think all of Australia, certainly in Queensland anyway. It's the May Day long weekend. And that's not really going to make an enormous amount of difference for what I would be doing, because we are all still in, as we should be, stay-at-home times. Although these restrictions have eased a bit here in Queensland as of tonight, I think at midnight. But yeah, I'm still not going to be going shopping for non-essential items, mainly because I've actually done a lot of shopping for non-essential items, but online. I'm not even going to tell you how many. I've been keeping the economy going this week. That's what I've been doing. I haven't slept a lot this week. It's been a bit of an awful week for me. Haven't slept, done a lot of online shopping at 3 a.m. Got to stop now. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next Friday. Bye.